at Performance Fab. Well, I'm not at Performance Fab today. I'm actually at home trying to do a little multitasking. It's a nice day. Sunday afternoon. I don't know when I'll post this, probably Monday or Tuesday. Like I said, trying to do something a little different. I was going to do a little background on me in the shop, and just, I know this whole thing's kind of new and a lot of people don't know me from Adam, so I figured I'd kind of introduce myself a little bit more, give you a little bit more history and background on me. But like I said, today I'm just at the house chilling, which I went in the shop today to weld on a rear end housing and get one out, and then I wanted to get home and do some of this stuff because I got a bunch of limbs with chopping up and burning, and my wife's doing a little studio at her house, so we got some power line ran to the other day, so I had to do put some seeds and straw, you know, all the fun stuff. But got all the dogs out here with me, they love it. Let's see. So that's Violet, our little mini Aussie. That's Teddy with the straw hanging from me. He needs a haircut. He's going to get one today, or this week rather. There's Max. Y'all seen Max. And then there's my buddy Patch. He's our bigger Aussie. What are you doing, boy? Give me that ball. Give me that ball. Go. You ain't gonna give it. But we got a zoo at my house. But yeah, like I said, I got the smoker going. Got chicken on the grill. Got to get my ass back in shape. Try to do some meal prepping this week, you know, fun stuff, grown up stuff. But anyway, so I figured I would kind of jump on here and do a little kind of back history on me a little bit. And since this whole thing's kind of new, I hadn't been doing this long, and just people watching, and I'm sure a lot of people have no idea who I am. So my name's Matt Smith. I own Performance Fab. I am 41 years old, so getting old. We're from Spartanburg, South Carolina, upstate South Carolina. I grew up here and lived here my whole life. It's pretty cool living in this area. So like I grew up, my dad was a dirt track racer, so I grew up at racetracks. I mean, he never did any drag racing. I didn't get into drag racing until I was in high school and could drive and could take myself places, but I grew up at a dirt track, or at my dad's shop. He's a mechanic, a Ford mechanic anyway, and then he always raced Ford dirt track engine powered stuff, and for the most part, I mean, he had a few rides he drove for people with, or for, that were Chevrolet stuff. But so I always that's kind of why I am kind of a Ford guy. I guess it's just kind of breathed into me from a young age. Nowadays I don't really care. I like drag racing, I like to go fast, I like to win, whatever's most reliable package of that. Like I said, my car will be a Ford powered for a while at least, but anyway, so yeah, that's a little bit just kind of where I started getting my hot rod, car, burning gasoline, burning rubber kind of love from, was just growing up at a dirt track every Friday and Saturday night. I mean, I remember way back in the early 90s when I was a young kid, middle 90s, we would race 2 to 3 times a week. We'd race Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. We were always at the track. My dad was pretty good. That time period, you could do a lot yourself and go a long way. Even going into the early 2000s, you still could do a good bit. You were competing with a lot more money then. Just the same. Dirt track racing's the same as drag racing. Money always ends up taking over if you're not super innovative and just have good connections. And he did that for a long time. But yeah, like I said, once I got into high school and kind of drive, I kind of got into drag racing a little bit more. My first Mustang was a V6 Mustang. Wasn't real cool to me, but it was a straight drive. It was something fun. And then that's when I started going to drag show, and I was like, oh, I got to get a V8. This has got to change. So I'd started working, saving money, and was going to 302 swap my car. I done found some parts, you know, local, and told my dad about it. He said, why don't we just buy something? Like, I think he saw the writing on the wall that this was going to be I kind of wish we would have done it, but at the same time, I understand where he's coming from as a parent now myself. So we ended up, as soon as I graduated high school in 2002, and then we went and bought me a brand new Mustang GT. I thought it was the fastest thing ever. It had 4 miles on it when I drove it off the lot. Hell, I broke the rear end in it the second night out playing around racing. It really wasn't my fault, but stuff happens. But yeah, so that was my first forte. It was a New Edge Mustang in a V8 world, and of course, as a kid doing all the bolt-ons, you know, headers, exhaust, more gear, little nitrous shot, put the nitrous spray through the mass air, like everybody said, enriching itself up. Did all that stuff. Started going to college. College didn't work out. I ended up joining the Army, and that was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed it. I got to live in a bunch of different places. Lived in South Korea for a couple years, Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, all over the place. So I really enjoyed that. I got to travel. I got to go to Thailand, Philippines, Japan. Got to see a bunch of stuff that I would never see if I'd have stayed home. But once my 4 years kind of came up, it was a fork in the road. I was either going to stay in and do it forever, or I was getting out. And I just kind of got to the point where I was tired of it, so I was getting out. So back home, kind of starting back off where I was when I left. I didn't do well in college, so didn't have that going for me. Didn't want to really go back to college in that aspect. Kind of wanted to trade. My dad always preached he said, I don't care what you do, you can do anything you want to do, but I think you should learn a trade. And I think it's great advice, because all else fails, economy fails, you lose your job, people need trade people to do services. So when I was in high school, I kind of got enamored with the idea of welding, just from seeing guys build dirt track cars, local guys build dirt track cars, and there was a few little small chassis shops in that world. I grew up with Jeremy Clements, and we went to high school together, and I remember me and him, we used to drive to guy's fab shop that built dirt track cars not far from us, and we just hang out. And I don't know, I guess I kind of got a little enamored with that back in those days. So when I got back, I said, I guess I'm gonna go to school for welding, try to figure out how to do this. I already knew how to do a little bit of welding, just MIG welding, that kind of stuff, what I thought I knew how to weld. Well, I didn't know what, I just know I needed a job. I needed something to make some money. So I figured that's a great way to get started, was go back to school for welding and do that. So I did that, but I needed a job to get through welding. I still lived with my parents at the time. So my dad, like I said, he worked at dealerships my whole life, and then while I was in the Army, he started his own mechanic shop, and when I got back, he had that going for a year or two. So I actually went and helped him on the office side, just kind of, I would do some car work here and there, but for the most part was just kind of help him stay organized and do the office crap, order parts, do this, talk to this customer. Did that mostly during the day. Violet, come here. Heck dogs. Girl, be quiet. Go way down. But I also got a job at UPS preload, working in the mornings just to make some extra money. Because my dad wasn't paying me a whole lot. I mean, I think he maybe $150 first few months a week, and then a couple $100 after that. I got to do a little bit more, but $200 a week's rough. So, like I said, I got a job working UPS preload, which sucks. I don't know if it's a great gig. I recommend it for anybody getting out of school and don't know what the hell they want to do. It's a good job. Go get you a job at UPS, whether it be a preload or in the afternoons. You work about 4 hours a day roughly. I actually pay pretty well. You get benefits. It's perfect for somebody who wants to go to school. Highly recommend it. I should never quit. I'd be a UPS guy making really good money at this point in time if that was the case. But yeah, so I did UPS. You go into UPS about 4 every morning. I would get off about 8:30ish, get to the shop at 9, change clothes, help Dad, and then school started, and I went to night school for welding. So I would be there. I can't remember when exactly. Just a rough idea. It was around 6ish, 5:30 to 6. And you'd get out about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I did that every day. Well, school was 4 days a week, so Monday through Thursday I would do those 3 things, and then Friday would just be the 2. During that time, the shop my dad had was right next to a used car lot, and we always were there, and my buddy Sam would come over and we'd hang out, and that guy had some other shops back behind my dad's shop that there were big shops that were broke into 40x40s, and he just happened to buy a 91 Mustang, a silver hatchback, and then he wasn't going to do anything with it, the car lot guy. So I bought it for like $400. I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. But I guess I'd already had that bug and kind of wanted to do something. I wanted to piddle and hot rod and do other fun stuff. So this is probably about 2010-ish, somewhere in that time period. So I bought that car. Well, I needed a place to work on it. My buddy Sam already had a car. He had a hatchback LX, and it was running, had been running, and then when I got home, something was wrong with it, and I told him to bring it to the Dad shop one weekend, and we checked it out. We're going to work on it, and I don't know what happened with his at that particular point in time, but anyway, decided let's start doing this, play around, and have some hot rods, play on these. So we rented a shop from behind my dad's shop, and just mainly to work on our cars. Well, that car kind of was my intro to learning how to fab and doing things on my own. Let me go. Hang on one second. Gotta go flip some chicken over. But yeah, so that car was my first car to start piddling with. At that time period, David Wolf. Chicken on the grill. I told you I wasn't lying. I'm multitasking out here. Radio racing was big. It was already taking off pretty hot and heavy. Ducks races were hot. David Wolf was king of the world in radio versus the world. In the orange Mustang, big block twin turbo. You young guys have no clue. I got a guy that works for me. He's 25, and like he doesn't know this time period. When I get to talking about it, it kind of just cracks me up. But I mean, it's not his fault. He just don't realize or know. But like that time period when I got into radio racing and interested in radio racing, David Wolf set the world on fire with a 440. X275 was running 480s, 490s. Ultra was 530s. You look at those cars today, and it's kind of unreal how fast all this stuff is. But so I decided so David Wolf had a chassis shop. He built parts, cage kits, and different odds and ends. So I bought a cage kit from a 10-point cage kit for my little Mustang. I think I already had bought a MIG welder, or my dad had one. I can't remember, but bought that cage kit, had the car, started stripping it down, of course, first thing. And Max, come here. Bought a TIG welder. I bought a TIG welder off the tool truck that cost 5 times as much money as it should, and it was a free. Come here, sit down. Leave that lady alone. Y'all stay over here. Yeah, I ended up paying way too much money for a TIG welder. I didn't have high frequency at the time because I didn't know any better, because I really hadn't even got that far in welding school yet. I just kind of was jumping the gun. But anyway, I got through it. I got that cage welded in. It was chrome moly 10-point. When I decided what I was going to do for an engine, I think Dad had done an engine swap on a Navigator, a early 2000s Navigator, which had a 5.4 double overhead cam in it, and I decided that's what I was going to do. So I'd met a few people that were like I said, we'd go to the track and met people. I decided to do a turbo 5.4 mod motor in my little hatchback. So I started collecting and building, buying parts and doing what I could. Those are pretty impressive engines. I mean, you got the Coyotes now that everybody thinks hung the moon, and they're great engines, don't get me wrong. But the mod motors, the 4.6 and the 5.4, very awesome and capable engine. There's still a couple guys that run them today that do really well. Keith Rhea, I don't know if that's how you say his last name or not. I know he runs them. Brian Cummins. There's a few guys that still run them to a high degree of success and go really fast with them. But so I did that. I just did a rod and piston deal, put valve springs in it, ended up having to put valves in it, put some Ford GT cams in. They were a little bit bigger, and I could get them for really cheap at the time. And then I think we put a large frame, 88 millimeter on this thing. It was the F-trim large frame. That was my first intro to turbos and first turbo kit. I don't even think I built the headers for that thing. I think I bought a cheap set of like an eBay set that were terrible. They come out through the K member and around. Not a lot of room in a Fox chassis with a mod motor. But anyway, made it all work. It was fun. We kept the car on 26s, 26 850s. Did that for a little while. We did some 235 radio racing way back then. It was me and Josh Davis, which I just did a video on one of his cars. Me and him have been friends for a long time doing this stuff. And he had a LT1 Camaro with a bunch of spray that would run like low 6s to the 8th mile. We thought we had some stuff. My car run about the same. We run high 5s. Of course, something happened to it, and I got a terrible problem is when I get my mind on something, I want to do something, I want to do it the best way I can. Like, so I end up taking stuff apart, selling stuff off, and upgrading. And back then, I mean, I was not well thought out and didn't have the money to do that kind of building or racing, so ended up just kind of causing me to not be able to finish stuff, honestly. But during that time, I started kind of piddling on other people's stuff. And I ended up deciding I wanted to sell that car to build a nicer car. I bought an SN95, and I was going to 25.3 it. I'd bought me a bender, and I was just going to start doing it. You know, I was literally doing this stuff all just for myself, learning on the fly, teaching myself how to do it. Never worked at a place making this stuff. Just did it on my own, because honestly, I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do any of this stuff. That's necessity evil. I did not make any money. I had 2 part-time jobs, going to school, so I'm just kind of working my way through it, trying to figure it out as I go. I've never been scared to really do that. If somebody else can do it, I can figure out how to do it. Stuff's not that hard. Like I've got buddies that are intimidated to even try stuff, and I've never been that way. I will fuck something up, screw something up in a heartbeat. I don't care. I mean, I'll figure it out. I'll work my way through it. So I just bought a bait. Like I said, I ended up buying a better TIG welder. Bought a decent little bender, a manual bender too. Well, I was pulling it, but I did an SN95 and a 25.3 and a SN95. Did my sheet metal work. I mean, I learned all that stuff on the fly. I bought a cheap brake, cheap roller, bead roller. I wasn't planning on doing this. This was just to build my own stuff. I ended up, once I got out of school, I got a decent job at a fab shop. Fab shop, I was a welder there. It was an industrial fab shop, is what I mean. Kind of a job shop. We built a little bit of everything, but I learned how to weld sheet metal really well there. We did a lot of stainless, a lot of thin, we did a lot of thin stuff, but big range. So I got in school, I really learned how to pipe weld, which I know pipe welders, no offense, you think you guys can weld anything or the best in the world, but if you only know how to weld pipe and you throw a piece of sheet metal in front of them, they usually be struggling pretty hard. And that was always kind of a running joke in our shop I worked at. Was you'd see somebody come in, they were a pipe welder, they have all their little tools and files and all this, and they were giving you a sheet metal test where we worked, and they'd burn, slap through it. But they always made more money than us, but we always felt we were better welders because we could do both. And we did both at that job. We did pressure vessels, nuclear tests, all kind of different things. It was fun, actually. I ended up working there for 10 years and did the fab shop on the side for many of those years. Like I said, after I did my second car, the 25.3 car, more and more people started asking me to do, just friends really, just like Josh was one. Josh was somebody that asked me to do something on one of his cars way back in the day. Just a bunch of local guys just doing this or that. Build a turbo pipe for this, not even like in-depth stuff. Do a small cage for this. Josh's car, he had a Malibu wagon at the time. We took the body off of it. We just plated the frame, did some floor bars. This is before torque boxes and any of this kind of stuff. We were just learning and winging it as we go. I don't know if he ever finished that car either. He had sold his Camaro to build that one, and we did a lot to that car, and then he ended up getting another Camaro and put a big block in it with spray, and that car was pretty fast. But like I said, it just kept growing and growing and growing over the years. It's just word of mouth. I didn't advertise. I ended up making a business name just to say we had something, but it never really was a plan to do that full time at all. But I wish I would have been informed, or somebody give me the business mindset to think about it that way, because I didn't put back into the business like I should have, when I was doing it part-time. I was building clientele, but I wasn't building shop equipment and all that stuff the way I needed to. So I finally did later before I quit my job, but I finally got to a point where I told my wife, I said, I can't do this anymore, because once I got my full-time welding job and was on, that was another thing. After I got out of school, I got that job at that place on second shift. Still worked at UPS in the mornings, from 4 to whatever I told you it was, 9-ish. And then I went home. I worked second shift at my welding job, and I had to be there at like 3 in the afternoon and got off at 2. We worked 11 hours. whatever it is, 11 hours. Might have been 2:30. But anyway, and then I would literally get off of there at 2, go to the UPS right down the road, take a nap in the truck, go in there, do that, and then come home and do it all over again. And then that only lasted about 6-8 months. And then they finally offered me a spot on first shift, and I decided to, hang it up at the other place and do that full time. And did that for a long time. We worked a lot of hours there. That was a job. A normal week was working 48 to 50 hours, but we usually worked 61. We worked a lot there. It was a great job. I learned a lot. I didn't make a lot of money. Didn't really know better at the time. It wasn't bad, but just now knowing what I know now, there's way better paying welding jobs. It's a great job to learn, and I think it's worth it for that, just because I did learn so much at that place. Still got a great relationship with them. I do a lot of my laser cutting, and they help me draw parts and just different things. But yeah, so I told my wife, I said, this is something's got to give. I'm either quitting the side work, or I'm quitting a job. I can't do this anymore. I'm literally getting up, going to work at 6, getting off at 6 to 6:30, going to the shop, working till 10 or 11 every night, coming home, taking a shower, going to sleep, and doing it. I never saw my house for 5 years or better. Hardly ever. Weekends, I almost work 8 days a week. I still struggle with not working, trying not to work so much. There's just too much work to get done, so you feel like I'm wasting time if I'm doing something else. But anyway, finally did. I decided to quit and was about to quit, and then I had an accident at work. Got knocked, a piece of metal fell and hit me, knocked me down, and I completely ruptured my patella tendon, snapped that unit. Knocked me out too. The way it knocked me down, I hit the ground, blacked out. I popped back up pretty quick. I went to jump back up, and I knew my leg wasn't working. I was like, what in the F is going on here? I sat back down on the ground. People come running. I was the calmest person at the scene. I reached down and felt my kneecap, and it was up high. It was above where it's supposed to be. Well, at first I was like, oh man, my kneecaps came out of socket, because my uncle had that happen to him, and I kind of remember that. But as I'm sitting here laying there, and I'm like, I don't think that's what it is, because if it pops out, it goes to the side, not up or down. So they call the ambulance, do that. End up having to have a surgery to fix that. It's rough, man. Soft tissue tears, and it's a complete tear. It snapped that unit, frayed it. It was pretty bad. It took a solid 6 months after that surgery before I could halfway walk decent without a brace or without a cane. I still had a brace, without crutches, really. And then it was almost a year before I got released from that, to where I was somewhat back to normal. I still was never back to 100%, still not. That's just, I can deal with it. It is what it is. But finally, after all that, so I couldn't quit my job, because all that was in process. And it was all I could do to make enough work to pay for our bills and everything at the time. But after that, I told her, I said, I'm done. I'm gonna give this thing a shot. Like, this side gig, I'll turn it to full time and try it full time and see what happens. Worst case, I'll go find another job. And that was in 2000. I'd been doing the side thing for almost 10 years. And in 2000, I quit my job. So 5 years I've been doing it full time. I've had multiple employees over the years. I've got 2 guys now that are pretty good, really awesome guys. Shane, one of the guys, I worked with him at my other job. We worked together for a long time. He's a little older than me, does great work, good sheet metal guy. And then the newest guy I got, Dylan, he is awesome. He's a really great fabricator, great welder. I wish he can see way better than me. I sure wish I could see as good as I used to, or see as good as him, because he can lay it down some days. But he's still learning, but he does so good at kind of understanding and being open to listen to what I can be kind of, I ain't gonna say I'm difficult, but I got a way I see things and I want things to be, and I've always been good at that. It's like, I can see a project, especially mine. Obviously if I'm doing it for somebody else, it's hard to see their vision, but like, if they can kind of articulate that vision to me, I can usually picture it complete, and I can work back from there. And it might not be exactly the way I picture it, but it'll be pretty close. I can do pretty well at that. And I've always been pretty good at seeing a finished product. I ain't gonna say I hadn't sucked over the years, failed people, not do what I need to, not the best way possible, but I truly try to do everything better every single time I do it. I try to learn something every single time I do it. And that's like, I started working with Devin, I don't know, probably 2016, 2017, working on the convertible. It's way before it was called Big Earn. I mean, that car, I think the first time we did it, we was tube fronting it, and what else? Had an intercooled small block Ford on it, so we was putting a air-to-water intercooler in the front. We probably did that thing 3 different times of that iteration, changing parts. Devin's always strived to do something, make it better, make it better, make it better. And that's always what we've always done and worked together on that. It's just to really make that car better. And it turned into what it was, to a car that wasn't built. So I ended up redoing that complete chassis. We kept it stock suspension because that's what he wanted. But we did a 25/3 stock suspension, stock floor pan, stock front suspension. I don't remember, I'd have to go back and look. I'm going to say that was probably in 2022-ish, somewhere in there. Actually, it might have been a little earlier than that. It might have been 2000 or 21 or 2020/2021. And we completely redid it. It's still a small block. It was being built for a small block Ford, single turbo. And that's what it was built for. Car was freaking pretty fast for its day like that. Car's always, I think there was one time we didn't have a radiator in it, but that changed real quickly and ended up putting a radiator back in it. He always wanted to have a street car he could drive, which I always thought was pretty cool. And then it just started snowballing. He got into the drag and drive stuff pretty hot and heavy. Went to sick week, tore the small block Ford up. It was going to take forever to fix, and that's when he got the big block. And then it's all been downhill from there. And now you see where we're at. We redid it again not too long ago with the back half deal last year, and then moved the engine, did some stuff. That car ran 390s. A car that was never built to do that whatsoever. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I think it's been a 619, I think, to the quarter mile. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little backstory on me and just kind of where I've got so many customers over the years. And I mean, obviously we advertise a little bit now, but still mostly word of mouth. And we're doing this YouTube honestly just for fun and something to do, because people like to see these builds, and I take them for granted. I mean, like, it's my job. Working on race cars is my job, and at the end of the day, it's a job, man. Like, cool as it is, it's a job. That's what I got to pay you to do it. Because at the end of the day, there's stuff sucks about it. You got to deal with things, but it's a job, and it is an awesome job. And I've learned to love that about it, and try to embrace those things and these builds and enjoy them more. And then, I mean, you kind of live vicariously through your customers when it comes to this stuff, and I have for years, and that's kind of where I wanted to get back into it, because I was kind of losing my joy in doing this whole thing. So I decided to get back into it, doing my own car. And like I said, you see the series are starting, and we got tons of stuff in the works, man. Like I said, this is new to me. I'm not great at this whole video thing. My wife helps me with this. I do most of the shooting, and then I kind of throw it in her lap like a hot potato, and she kind of helps me piece all this mess together. But like I said, we got tons of content that's coming down the pipe. I mean, we just want to keep trying to grow this thing slow and steady. I mean, just something fun to do that we can go back and look on later, and kind of gives us a blueprint of how far we've came from this point. I mean, we do pretty awesome stuff now. There's some awesome stuff comes out of our shop, and I just want it to keep stepping up. That's kind of the goal, is always to be better and do better and put better product out there. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a rough, kind of long-winded outline of my basis, but just kind of gives you an idea where I started and kind of where my passion for the stuff came from. But like I said, I started as a dirt track kid, and it's kind of evolved to working on some of the fastest drag and drive cars in the country, and want to do more track only car, which we do a lot of those already. We do so much that we don't post. There's stuff people don't want us to post, and there's stuff we just don't post just because we stay so far behind. Some stuff will be stuff we've recorded already in the past that we put up, but just try to keep something constant to kind of keep you guys engaged. I mean, if you see something you want to see, just let us know. I mean, I'm open to it. I mean, basically going to be kind of documenting most of the builds that come through, the bigger ones, and then I'll show you the little stuff. Like, I got a little job we're wrapping up now that's pretty cool, and I mean, it won't be a long video, but it just kind of something that's not a race car. It's a true street car, AC on it, but a little roll bar we did and some floor bars. I'll do that later this week. But anyway, appreciate you guys for checking us out, and just stay tuned. There's more to come. See ya.